Hello and welcome. Please get comfortable, folks. I have a tale to tell. Imagine this. A man who ruled Libya for over 4 decades warns Europe that millions of migrants are ready to flood the continent. And he says he is the only one holding the gates closed. Sounds like a thriller, right? Well, it is not fiction, it is real history. Besides, if you think it's ancient news, think again, because the ticking migration time bomb is still very much alive. I have decided to publish this video, which I created some time ago, years in fact. However, last week I received a comment on one of my political pantomime videos that said, check your facts before reporting from abroad. So here we are, back with some facts. So buckle up, because today we are diving into the story of Muammar Gaddafi, migration, and why Europe, and yes, the UK too, needs to wake up before it is too late. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh great, another migration story. Boring. However, hang on. This one has drama, politics, and a dash of irony that even Shakespeare would envy. Muammar Gaddafi, the late Libyan leader, was not just some dictator with a funny hat. He was a master at playing the migration card like a seasoned poker player. Moreover, he made no secret of it. Back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, Gaddafi openly told European leaders, if you do not pay me, millions of Africans will come knocking on your doors. Guess what? Europe listened, well, sort of. Nevertheless, the question is, did they listen enough? Furthermore, what happens now that Gaddafi is gone and those millions are still out there? The Gaddafi Gambit, migration as a political weapon. Gaddafi's Libya was, and still is, a key transit point for migrants from sub-Saharan Africa aiming to reach Europe. Nevertheless, here is a kicker. He claimed to have control over who got through and who did not. In 2010, during a visit to Italy, he told them bluntly, tomorrow Europe might no longer be European and even black, as there are millions who want to come in. Now, that is a line that would make any headline writer salivate. However, it was not just talk. Gaddafi demanded billions of euros from the European Union to keep those migrants bottled up in Libya. Why? Because he knew migration was a pressure valve and he held the key. Europe, desperate to stem the tide, struck deals with Libya. They funded border patrols, trained Libyan coast guards, and even agreed to take back intercepted migrants. For a while it worked. Numbers dropped. Italy saw fewer boats arriving. However, it was a fragile peace, built on shaky foundations. The migration numbers, myth or reality? Let us talk numbers, because that is where things get interesting. Gaddafi claimed millions were ready to jump ship and head to Europe. Some say he mentioned 5 million specifically. Now, whether it was exactly 5 million or just a dramatic estimate, the point stands. The migration pressure was intense. Official EU data backs this up. In 2008, over 32,000 migrants crossed from Libya to Italy by sea. By 2009, after the deals, that number dropped to around 7,300. Impressive, right? However, here is a catch. Those migrants did not just disappear. They were stuck in Libya, often in terrible conditions, waiting for the next chance to cross. Then here is a fact that once Gaddafi was toppled in 2011, the wall he talked about crumbled. Chaos in Libya meant no one was controlling those migration routes anymore. The floodgates opened and Europe faced waves of boats, many overloaded and unsafe, risking lives daily. Why should we care? Now, I am not here to demonise migrants, far from it. People move for all sorts of reasons, war, poverty and hope for a better life. Nevertheless, here is a rub. When migration is uncontrolled and massive, It puts strain on countries' resources, social cohesion and yes, cultural identity. Europe and the UK have rich, diverse cultures, but they are also built on traditions, languages and social norms that can be challenged when change comes too fast and without preparation. It is like adding hot sauce to your tea. Some might like it, but most will spit it out. Moreover, security. Well, porous borders will make it harder to track who is coming in which can be exploited by criminals or worse. Gaddafi knew this and he used it as a leverage. Today, with ongoing instability in parts of Africa and the Middle East, the migration challenge remains a pressing issue. Here is a thought to shake things up. What if Gaddafi was right all along? What if Europe's failure to secure its borders properly has left the door wide open for millions more to come? Furthermore, what if the cultural and social fabric of European countries is at real risk because of it? Sounds grim, I know. However, ignoring the problem will not make it go away. It is like ignoring a leaky roof. You might get away with it for a while, but eventually the whole house gets soaked. So, what can be done? Alright, enough doom and gloom. What is the way forward? First, Europe and the UK need to invest in smarter, stronger border controls. That means technology, drones, sensors, AI-powered monitoring and better cooperation between countries. Second, support for countries like Libya and others on migration routes is crucial, but it must be ethical and transparent. No more shady deals with dictators or ignoring human rights abuses. Third, legal migration pathways be expanded. When people have safe legal ways to migrate, the pressure on illegal routes decreases. Win-win. Finally, public awareness is key. People need honest conversations about migration's challenges and benefits without fear-mongering or oversimplification. So there you have it. Gaddafi, the man with the funny hat, and the even funnier threats might just have been the canary in the coal mine. Europe and the UK, it is time to stop playing politics with migration and start playing defence. Otherwise, the millions he warned about would not be a scary story from the past. They will be tomorrow's headlines. In fact, they already are. Thousands of migrants, many from African countries, have crossed the English Channel without any problems. There are tens of thousands waiting for dinghy places and many more on the way. Now, if you are wondering what to do next, start by sharing this video, have a chat with your mates and maybe, just maybe, write to your local MP before the next boat lands on your shore. Because, as my old man used to say, it's better to fix the roof while the sun's shining rather than waiting for the rain to flood the kitchen. Thank you for listening to this old git who has worked in Libya in the early 2000s and saw myself what I believed were migrant camps. Remember, stay curious, stay informed and keep a stiff upper lip. If you found this story eye-opening, please hit that like button, subscribe for more no-nonsense takes on the big issues and share this video with friends and family. Let us get this conversation started. Europe's future depends on it, as mass migration is getting worse day by day. Finally, do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I am keen to hear what you think, as when I told people about all what I have just said, they laughed and told me to stop swinging the lamp. Bye bye.